Good morning, everybody. I think we're still waiting for a few folks to join us, but I think we're going to get going. I trust everybody can hear me. If you can't, by all means, take your mute off and let us know. Also, if you have questions, if you would please, bring them up. That would be great. First of all, I want to say thank you for attending. My name is Pat Bollum with Smart Data. I also have with me Patrick Boris, who's on the technical side of our house, as well as Courtney Willis, who's on the marketing side for us. I want you to know we had recorded this a day or two ago, and we're going to simply play the recording, and then thought people seem to have more and more questions or things they want clarification on. So we thought it would be best if we did it live, so bear with us on that. But I just want to make sure that you're getting your questions answered as they come up. Additionally, our offering on how to adhere to this is actually, quite an easy solution. Again, for us, we have the technical resources available, the tools available to do it. So in explaining what we do for you at the end here, there's not that much to it. So if you'd like clarification or further simplification, by all means, either shoot us an email, shoot us a question here in the notes section, or chime in. So let's get going. As far as a little bit about Smart Data, the propaganda there to start out with. We were established in 2000. I actually see some names on the attendee list there of people we've been talking to probably since 2000. So welcome. If I haven't chatted with you in a while, thanks for attending. We're up to now 160 clients, north to south, east to west. We're all over. We're exclusively in healthcare. And I want to reiterate on the smart labor and technology in lieu of labor. I think that's what's really given us our strategic advantage in the marketplace, is going in and helping people, and in the processes and the workflows that we integrate, having that variance tracking so that we can alert your staff to problems before they become problems. Because as you know, once they become problems, that's when suddenly there is a labor component that costs you money and time, and that's what we want to avoid. Also having solid reject queues for if there are issues, being able to address them immediately as opposed to having to send reject letters and things like that. Aside from our SAS 70 Type 1 and Type 2 compliance, we're SSAE compliant and just completing our SOC compliance, SOC 1 and SOC 2 as well. We are a profitable company, privately held. We have no venture capital. We have no debt. There's two of us that own it, and we're not going anywhere. Again, it's been 13 years now, and hopefully we'll see you all again in another 13. And finally, think of us as a toolbox. When you look at what we're providing or any of the solutions we provide, they've come about because we've taken pieces from other solutions and used those pieces, those tools, to create new solutions. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. When you look at the background on CAQH and CORE, I'm sure you've all seen this before, but essentially what it is a multi-stakeholder initiative facilitated by CAQH, and all the operating rules and voluntary testing for CORE are decided upon by the CORE participating organizations. The operating rules, and the goal is to decrease the amount of time and resources providers spend verifying patient eligibility, benefits, claim status, and other administrative information. Again, trying to simplify everything. And when you look at the CAQH core operating rules, there's 130 different organizations participating right now in all, and it's only growing, and they have support. So, just wanted you to know that there is more behind this. As far as goals of the mandates, to build the consensus on a set of operating rules that facilitate administrative interoperability between the providers and the health plans, trying to make communication easier, faster, and better. Enable the providers to submit the transactions from their systems, implement in phases that encourage feasible progress, minimizing barriers to comply, and facilitate administrative and clinical data integration. Does anybody have any thoughts, or maybe want to vent for a moment regarding the goals of the mandates? I'll keep plowing forward. Why the mandates were established. Obviously, the first one to address the gaps in the already present standards. But then, I look at the second one there to help refine the infrastructure that supports electronic data interchange or exchange. When you look at our clearinghouse, Smart Data Stream, I'm not sure how many of you use us for a clearinghouse, but what's the biggest request we get is provider outreach. People are looking at the number of electronic transactions they get, and they're saying, I want more EDI, I want less paper, less hassle. So Smart Data, can you go out and can you get those non-EDI providers to submit EDI so that we can have higher quality and more dependable data in there? Thirdly, recognize the interdependencies among the transactions, and I think that's pretty obvious on what they're saying there. The operating rules and key components, the rights and responsibilities of the parties, security, the exception processing, and this is when you look at the projects that we're involved in, so much of it evolves around exception processing. When everything's running well, hey, it's a well-oiled machine. It's when there is an exception, there is an anomaly that it needs to be addressed. And like I said before, we want to address it as quickly and efficiently as possible so we can get the transactions back in the workflow and get them going. Transmission standards and formats, the response times, and error resolution. When you look at the dates, and I'm sure you've all looked at these dates many times and wondered where we're at with them, but you see what we're addressing today is those that are due now. By 2014, the main piece is the electronic funds transfer. And on that, if you're not working with anybody, we work with a partner, Instamed, and would love to chat with you on how we can streamline that whole effort. There's people coming out of the woodwork right now to talk about EFT and ERA. And I always wonder if any of you have been to the conferences over the last 10 years. So many people come, they have their $2 million of venture capital, they blow it on giving away a motorcycle at one of the conferences, and they're gone 8 months later. And if you bought into what they were doing, you're left holding the bag and starting over again. Where you want to look for established partners who have long-term solutions, who are going to be around for you when things come up. And then for 2016, the encounter information, enrollment and disenrollment, premium payments, referral certs, and the attachments. Attachments, if you want to talk about that offline, we have some solutions to help you with that already. So who enforces the mandates? The Office of eHealth Standards and Services, CMS. Do they have a fleet of white Suburbans that show up with armed people to come arrest you and take away your birthday if you're not compliant? No, not really right now, but it may come to that at some point. As far as the future phases of compliance, phase one, which we're talking about, to electronically confirm patient benefit coverage and copay, coinsurance, and base deductible information. In presenting these, and being on all the sales calls for what we're providing here, the first question I get from people is, what does that mean? What does that entail? And it comes down to the dates of eligibility at the health plan level for the past and future dates, the patient financial responsibility, and the name of the health plan when it exists in the health plan system. And for the solution that we're offering you, all this information is readily available as long as you can get us, or I shouldn't say readily available, it's in your system that it will help you pull that information so we have it and can respond to any requests we get. Next, to provide access to this information real-time via common internet protocols and with acknowledgments. And again, to do the real-time, we're using the standards. We're using SOAP and MIME. So if anybody has questions on those, by all means, chime in. As far as the future phases of compliance, and again, I'm going to go further into what we offer there in a minute. I want to touch on phase two real quick if I could. Essentially, phase two is, promoting claim status, transaction claim status information. That's what it comes down to. So again, patient accumulators, rules to help improve patient matching, and as most of you know, we already have engines to do eligibility as well as provider matching. Very solid solutions there. Claim status infrastructure requirements, and more prospective connectivity requirements and authentication. And just trying to make sure that the tools are there to be able to make the request and respond appropriately. Phase 3, you can read them here. Claim status, data requirements, remittance, prior auths, standard health benefit information. So let's get back to SDS and what we provide here. As far as how we got involved in this, it smelled somewhat like our mandatory insurer reporting solution that we had, where the mandate came out to have to do MIR. So we looked in the toolbox and said, we have the tools. We can become an agent for those who want us to do this on their behalf. So we did it. And we provide mandatory insurer reporting for 20-25 companies now. And when this came up, essentially the same thing. You know, we became an agent for those organizations wanting us to act on their behalf, and we have the tools in place to answer the requests. And I'll get into that in a moment. You know, we were already collecting eligibility data and 834 data. We already have an eligibility matching engine, as I referenced earlier. Our reporting, if you know, some of you are our clients, you've seen the control panel, you've looked at our reports and our ability to, or your ability to see, you know, previously submitted information or things that are waiting to come back in. We have the real-time technology. We're already proficient in managing claims data. And our web-based presentation of previously received data it's there. I mean, it's very good that you can go in and see historical data on transactions you've received, transactions you've sent, transactions that have had problems. So it was a natural fit for us, so that was how we essentially got into it. And what we do, just so you have an idea of what our solution is, it's quite easy for us to do it. We begin by taking our client's eligibility file, plan, benefit, and remaining deductible file in a standard file format, you know, if we'd like that to be, but we can talk about that in a minute. And we can take it in other formats as well, but that is going to affect the pricing. We load it into our database, and at this point you are compliant. I mean, we've become your agent, and we have the data necessary. We handle the trading partner setup and testing on any trading partners. And when a 270 or 76 are received, we validate them, and then we respond with the appropriate response. We log it and report to you who those submitting providers are. That is it in a nutshell. It's you know, we're already receiving eligibility information on predefined basis from so many people. This was quite an easy endeavor for us. Before I go on to the next slide, not sure if anybody wants to pipe in to ask any specific questions. We'll keep going. You know, as far as the project and what it looks like when you break it down, you know, it all starts with, like any statement of work or project that you would do with us, it begins with the kickoff meeting so that we can do our contact information exchange, make sure the proper paperwork's in place, everybody's on board, that we have a goal end date, etc. Like any other project you do with us, we have the recurring meeting every week, and you're agreeing to that up front, that if you're going to undertake this endeavor with us, you are going to participate. Your team is going to participate in the weekly meetings to discuss what did we do last week, what are we doing next week, because we want to make sure the testing is done correctly. We'll provide you the data file format specifications and answer any questions you have. Again, if you have your own file formats that you want to use and not have to deal with the hassle of adhering to ours, we can do that. It does affect pricing, though. Then you're going to provide the data extracts from claim and eligibility systems in the prescribed formats. We're going to load the data and do the validation testing, then test the auto loads going forward to assure subsequent files are received correctly. We'll do the external trading partner testing, And then production coordination, just making sure we're getting the information and giving you the reports when you want them. This isn't the usual 120, 150-day project that we're engaged in. It's a relatively quick project. As far as base pricing, if you adhere to the formats that we give you, it's $1,200. It's $3,300 if a custom file format is delivered. It doesn't matter to us. We just want you to know the price does go up if you aren't following the formats we want. You have a monthly recurring fee, a per transaction fee, and a trading partner setup. Let me clarify on the trading partner setup. Your implementation covers 9 trading partners. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it's you say, well, geez, how many trading partners will I have? Essentially, the providers who are going to be sending out these requests probably already have established clearinghouses they work with. And most likely, Smart Data Stream, our clearinghouse, is already connected to those clearinghouses. I mean, we're directly connected to 30-some clearinghouses right now. So we don't really need to set up direct connectivity in those cases. Now, if you have a specific provider who wants direct connectivity, we can do that. But if it's above 9, above and beyond 9 of them, it is $450 per trading partner. Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Does anybody have anything they want to cover? Nobody has said anything on chat yet, but if you want to type in a question, I'll give you a few minutes here. I think sometimes maybe I oversimplify what needs to be done, and I just want to make sure that we're clarifying everything and not taking too much for granted. While we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll ask Patrick if he has any clarification he wants to provide, any slides he wants to go back and address in further depth, or are you feeling pretty clear with what we covered?
I think that all makes it pretty clear. I was involved in the implementation, the technical implementation of all of our core certification. We are a core certified entity, and as such, using us as your agent makes you compliant. And as long as we have all of your data in the specified format, we can hook up any trading partner for the core connectivity piece of this. So we're really kind of ahead of the game on this.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Well, we'll leave it. Oh, here we go. Hold on. What am I doing here? What do I have to touch? There. Courtney's going to drive. Questions. Oh, there's one. What does that say? Oh, will the slide deck be available? Can you extend that out so we can see the whole thing? You're wondering if the slide deck is available? Yeah, we'll end up sending it out to all the attendees. We have the list of the 30 of you that are here, and we'll make sure we get it out to you. Oh, it says, hey, quit ignoring me. I have a question. Oh, here we go. Patrick, can you? I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Would you let Patrick drive, then you can see it.
Yeah, come less. Okay. All right. I think we can kind of go up and down through these. Okay, will you support daily updates of accumulator eligibility database files? The answer to that question is yes, we can support that. As we currently do for a lot of our clients, daily eligibility updates. We can even do these updates kind of asynchronously, do the accumulators file more frequently than the base eligibility and plan data file, that sort of thing. So yes, that option's available.
So I get the next one.
We'll just use the arrow.
No, that's not going to work.
Nope.
Slide deck will be available.
Okay, the next question is, when you act as an agent for a health plan, how does the provider know the address of where to send the 270? Is this information being placed on the card? That's a good question. Putting the address information on the card is a possibility. However, there's a security component to core connectivity. Typically, if they're going through their clearinghouse, they'll have already had login information assigned to them. So a provider that connects their software to a core connectivity source, such as a clearinghouse or directly to Smart Data Solutions, must have an established username and password, and that's not information that you want to put on a card. And so that information is actually exchanged during the trading partner setup. There's documentation, and in fact, there's official core templates for this sort of information to be passed back and forth, which we've put together and which we make available during the trading partner setup. So this is information that the trading partner receives when we implement with them, along with credentials, usernames, passwords for accessing our system in order to perform the eligibility queries.
Next question is, can you provide these services as an agent if you're not providing our EDI claim flow?
Answer to that question is also yes. If we are not processing your claim flow, as long as we are receiving the data files as specified in this presentation and other documentation we can make available, then we can act as an agent for the 270, 271, as well as the claim status. We don't necessarily need the claims in our system in order to respond to claim status, as long as we have an extract of claim status provided in the appropriate format that has all the required data elements.
Next question, can you give us examples of trading partners that you already set up connectivity with? It would be mainly, I mean, when you think of our biggest trading partners, like Availity, we have set up, so it's other clearinghouses like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point in the game, the adoption is among clearinghouses. So we've implemented with Office Ally, we've implemented with Relay Health, we've done some direct connects, but to be honest, the provider adoption of this isn't as high as the clearinghouse adoption. The providers are going through their clearinghouse, and I think we have to wait until the practice management systems build this feature in to where they can go in, configure their endpoint address, login, password, and then have a target to submit the eligibility queries to. The practice management and EMR systems, to our knowledge, are just not there yet, and a provider would have to be a certified entity too. So we see most of the traffic going through the clearinghouses. Folks like Practice Insight, Office Ally, Availity, and having a relay for these real-time transactions.
This question was with regard to any price breaks once we reach a certain volume. Absolutely. I mean, once you reach a certain volume, I wanted to put pricing on this, and I know that's always the kiss of death for a vendor to provide pricing on a presentation, but that's what you all want to know. I did see one joker on here, wanted to make sure I don't refer to myself as a toolbox too often. Thanks for that one. Other than that, here we go. Over here, what's the volume? What's the volumes that we're currently seeing? Minimal.
This, at this point in the game, we are fully compliant, and this product is about compliance. Like I say, we don't have providers knocking down the door to access this service. We hope that's the case someday soon. But, at this point, we're getting a lot of interest due to the compliance component of it.
Next question, what entities are subject to this mandate?
Stakeholders include mostly healthcare providers and healthcare payers. As a healthcare payer, TPA is subject to the mandates. So are some of your larger fully insureds. Everybody that's a stakeholder. The three main stakeholders are healthcare payers, healthcare providers, and vendors and clearinghouses. They're all subject to different certification requirements depending on what kind of a stakeholder they are. When SDS executed its core certification, we were certified as both a vendor and a clearinghouse in terms of stakeholder.
I guess that's it on questions. We'll be sending out the deck to you here in the next day or two. If you have questions in the meantime, feel free to give a shout. I'm also curious on feedback on what did you think of the idea of doing it live versus having it taped. I guess most of them, majority of them that I hear are pre-taped, and just was curious if this was a good venue or if you were looking for the quick 10-minute version, pre-recorded and viewed at your discretion. So, okay, well, thank you again. We appreciate your time. We'll be in touch.